Good afternoon and welcome. I'm Celeste and this is my channel, Celeste Creates. Today is Wednesday afternoon, July 28th, and I am filming what I'm going to call QuiltyTube number 6, a special announcement. So today, this is a short video that I want to give you some information about an upcoming series of videos that I'm going to be doing here on my channel. And just kind of a heads up if you'd like to gather your supplies and quilt along with me. So I've had a lot of just wonderful, lovely comments from all of you about my recent QuiltyTube. It was either 5 or 5.5, I forget now, where I discussed what I thought were the essentials you need for quilting, to begin quilting. And so I just want to thank you all for those comments and just your kind reviews, and I'm so glad that I was able to help some of you, I don't know, maybe take that first step in quilting and realize that it is doable without spending a bunch of money on all the fancy gadgets. You still might want some fancy gadgets, but maybe you don't have to have all of them to make a quilt. You don't have to have all of them to make a quilt. So I've also had a lot of other quilting questions in the comments and really have wanted to do something that was maybe a series of videos that was informational and helpful for those who are beginning to quilt. Am I the first one to do something like this? No, you can go out there and find many other big name quilters, fabric designers, quilt shops, all kinds of things. There's classes out there you can take. There's a bunch of other YouTube videos. If you want to find it, it's out there. So I don't know that I'm necessarily doing anything new and innovative here, but just kind of like when I shared my favorite tools that I consider must-haves. What I can do is guide you through the steps of making a simple quilt, and in making those videos, hopefully I can share with you some of the things that I've learned about basic piecing and cutting and pressing or pinning your quilt, and these are things that I've learned over 20 years of quilting and have shared with my real life friends who know quilt. And so if I can actually maybe help others to take those first few steps into quilting, I would love to be able to do that. So here's how I got started with this idea. I'd actually had the idea formulating for a while, but then it just kind of started to take shape when I was looking around on Etsy one afternoon and found this beautiful fat quarter bundle. It has 8 fat quarters. It's from Wyndham Fabrics. It's called English Garden. And these were the 8 beautiful fat quarters. I love blue and white. I love blue and white dishes. Blue and white, cobalt blue glass. I love blue and white. And so I saw this bundle and I loved the prints on it. And so I thought, I think I need those. So I bought these 8 fat quarters from an Etsy shop, and I will put that down below. And they came, and they're so pretty. Let me show them to you one by one. There's that little pastoral scene there. The little hen house. It's pretty soft floral. Wildflowers, maybe. Love this one. The bunnies, the geese. So there's 3 whites, there's 2 pale blues, that floral, the small print, and then there's 3 darker blues. This is a repeat floral here, so pretty in that blue. I love that. That's my favorite color, blue. Again, that beautiful wildflower looking floral. And the sweet bunnies and things. So those are the 8 fat quarters, and I did order those. And so as I found it, I thought I knew what I wanted to do. I knew I wanted to make a quilt, and I thought this would be a great time to show all of you how to go about making a simple quilt, a small quilt, something that I can walk you through from beginning to end. And so I ordered these fat quarters, and then I was so excited, and I know my friend Annie at the Proper Stitcher, I'll put her channel link and her Instagram down below. I know Annie loves blue and white. So I messaged Annie and I said, you got to see this fat quarter bundle, you know, would you like to make a quilt with me? And so she was on board. So Annie bought the same 8 fat quarters that I bought. And Annie, the Proper Stitcher, is going to be joining me as we make this quilt together. And so we're hoping that you will join me and her as I make these videos and walk you through the steps of making a small quilt. I could explain it in a large quilt, but I think it'll be just as easy to explain it with a smaller quilt. That way I can show you the piecing, the laying out, the pinning, free motion quilting on a smaller scale, but still give you a really good feel for how I do things and what maybe some tips and tricks are that I have. So I would like to invite you to join us and grab 8 fat quarters. That's what you're going to need, as well as some batting and backing and binding, but I'll cover that here in just a moment. So 8 fat quarters. You could order something similar like this, or you want to pull 8 multicolored Lori Holt fat quarters you have and do a cute scrappy quilt of all different colors. Or you could go to your fat quarter stash and pull ones that you love that maybe are all 2 colors. You could do this, you know, I picked out this cute aqua and pink palette to cut from, or a 3-color palette. So really it's up to you. You can make it scrappy and fun. Grab 8 fat quarters, 8 full fat quarters, and that's what you're going to need to make your quilt top. So like I said, Annie and I will be using this bundle here, and there's all kinds of bundles out there if you're interested in buying a fat quarter bundle, a small fat quarter bundle on Etsy. You look around at the shops and you can find many that are 8 to 10 fat quarters that maybe a particular shop has curated a collection, and they're all greens, or they're, you know, Christmas fabrics or whatever. So you can go to your quilt shop and pick out 8 fat quarters. You can look for some bundles on Etsy. You can pull from your own stash. So many options. So you do need 8 fat quarters. And I'm going to list these requirements downstairs. I'm upstairs. There is a downstairs, but how about I list them down below in the comment box? I'll list the requirements if you want to be quilting along. So you'll need 8 fat quarters, and then you will need probably a crib size batting would be enough, and then you're going to need probably a total of 3 yards of backing and binding. So I usually, a lot of times, and I'll talk about this more in my videos, but my binding will oftentimes be the same fabric as my backing, partly because once I'm done quilting, I chop off the extra around my quilt, and for the most part I'm able to cut strips for binding. So if you were to have 3 yards of backing, that should be enough to make your backing, piece your backing, and probably some extra as well for binding. Or you can make a scrappy binding. You can go back through and use some leftovers from these fat quarters that you have, or pick some other, you know, to go with it. Totally optional, but 3 yards should cover it if you're trying to purchase the backing and binding. And so then I would also take a moment to maybe rewatch my tools and the video I did about my essentials, quilting essential tools, and there shouldn't be anything on that. There shouldn't be anything that we're going to be using to make this quilt that's not on that video. So really, you're going to need an iron and an ironing board, a sewing machine, scissors for snipping threads. You'll need a rotary cutter and a few rulers, maybe. Some bigger ones might be nice, one of the long ones that I showed. Thread, obviously. Straight pins, if you're going to be pinning, I can show you how to do that. And then quilting safety pins as well for layering your top. And then if you're going to quilt it yourself, you will either need a walking foot to do straight quilting, or you'll need a free motion foot for your machine to do free motion quilting. So I will again list those supplies down below, things that you're going to need. And then my plan is to do this in about 5 videos. It could be 6, but at this point I think I'm going to do 5. And so in another week or so I'm going to film the first video. And in the first video I hope to cover ironing, how I do ironing, cutting, sorting up your fabrics once they're cut to make your blocks, and just kind of prepping for that next step. The second video I hope to cover piecing and tips for piecing. I will not piece the whole quilt, or I will not piece all the blocks with you on camera, but we'll piece enough together that I can share with you my tips. The third video I think is going to be laying out your blocks once they're made, piecing the rows together, and then actually sewing the rows together into the top. That could be 2, but probably just be 1 video. The fourth video I hope to do is the preparation for quilting that you need to do and how to pin it, whether you're going to be free motion quilting or straight line quilting with a walking foot. And then hopefully probably 1 video for doing a little bit of tutorial about free motion quilting and how I do that. And I'm not sure if I'll include the binding tips on that particular video, or if I'll do a 6th video for that. So that's my hope, is that this will be really fun and really helpful for you as you are getting started with your quilting. So I'd love for you to follow along, grab your 8 fat quarters. If you don't have backing and batting yet, that's fine. We can get that later. If you just really would like to join in with Annie and I, grab 8 fat quarters and get started. Make it scrappy. It doesn't have to match. Just have fun with it. Some of my favorite quilts are ones that I have just pulled fat quarters and done scrappy things with them. So if you're going to join us, grab those 8 fat quarters and your basic supplies, and you're going to be ready to start. And then of course, if you can't join us, you can always save these videos, and hopefully they'll come in handy later on as you're looking for some tips and tricks and some basic instruction on quilt making. So that's my dog. My family is out working in the yard. So I'm super excited. I can't wait to get started. It's going to be a lot of fun. We're going to learn a lot, and I hope I can be helpful to you. I know this community blesses me so much, and I hope to be a blessing to you, and I love to answer all your questions, and so I hope you will join me. Give me another week or 2 and I'll have that first video out where we can start with our ironing and cutting. In the meantime, grab your 8 fat quarters, and I'll see you soon. Have a blessed couple of weeks. Bye guys.